Spit is really easy to grab as the Rubik because it's channeled. So more than likely, the Rubik's just going to go for that in the middle of a team fight, toss it back towards Infinity's way if you're not careful, and suddenly the fight just gets a little bit more complicated there for Infinity.
Certainly. Unknown team, third pickup for them now. I'm sure they want to kind of add to this push potential with this Beastmaster. They could take the Wraith King themselves. I think it would still work very, very nice. I don't see a problem with just picking it up right now if they so wish. They will go for the Grimstroke instead, so just going for that position 5 pickup. Maybe looking to make a bit more of a team fight heavy lineup again rather than focusing in on push. And already the draft does look very powerful along with that Grimstroke Inkswell that is going to come in. Infinity Esports. They've got 3 cores to pick up here. Maybe you just start with your own offlane.
Yeah,
I highly doubt it's going to be a core
choice.
Snapfire.
No, it's just so out of meta. And again, the Ags timing just makes that really atrocious now for the Ags rush. So probably not the play here.
Yep.
Infinity could maybe look for a safe laner spot since you see the Beastmaster. They go with the CM first. So maybe core snap. Like off lane at the least still works out better than mid. Although I guess mid the matchup can still work out for the snap as well. But core Snapfire, it's looking like here for Infinity, if not a core Spirit mid.
If it's core Snapfire, I have a lot of problems with it. I mean, you've talked about the nerfs, and we really have not seen core Snapfire ever since those nerfs came out. If it's core Earth Spirit, yes, you can make that work. We've seen that a couple times in the mid lane, giving him that XP just all by himself, giving him a bit of farm priority. He can turn into a beast. They do have this team fight orientated lineup as well. So they could definitely follow up on the Earth Spirit core if they wanted to run it that way. Unknown team, they won't mind too much. They go back to the Wraith King now. So you do have a lot of team fight, a lot of scalability, and a lot of push with this draft already. No matter how I look at it, John, I'm already favoring this Unknown team's draft. Even without these last picks coming out. They do end up going for the PA, which is fair. I'm just wondering whether they're going to be able to farm up quite as fast as we saw Burner last game around.
I think they've got to be cautious. Unknown team knows how to play around timings. We saw them do that with their Venomancer and their Ember Spirit last time. I think we've got to see the Robo Z hero here to see what pace Unknown team wants to take. Should be a fast-paced one. Should want to ban out the Ember. I mean, you don't have the combination on hand with a Keeper of the Light. So you don't have the constant fist spam, but I think RoboZ, and with that kind of performance, it's really hard to discount the fact that the Ember is still a very scary pick here for Unknown team.
Yep. Final ban out now for Unknown team, and we'll get to see how these drafts end. They have 50 seconds of reserve time to think about it, 56 seconds to be exact. Get rid of the Lycan. Which is pretty interesting because they could have kind of fit that in themselves if they wanted, but it looks like they just don't want to risk it. And Infinity will go for the last pick, Underlord now.
Okay.
So you've got that D push with the Underlord, but that means it's either mid Snapfire or mid Earth Spirit, unless we're seeing some crazy core CM, but I highly doubt that.
No. Like, the talents can make it work, but nah. I think Infinity, what they have on hand is flexibility in mid. Underlord mid is a thing that we have seen a couple of times. So you could run Underlord mid, maybe an off Snap or off Earth Spirit. Those aren't too strange. So that's one way to balance it out. Of course, you could just run Earth Spirit or Snap mid, which that's honestly a bit wonkier. Let's see how it does close out for Unknown. This does give some D push out to Infinity, right? Like, you can clear out the Beastmaster creeps a lot safer. You've got good combinations with the Underlord. Pit of Malice drops. Then suddenly the CM root comes out. The Earth Spirit stun. The Cookie comes in for follow-up. You can keep people locked into that small area and get a lot of value from the pit in this game. So there is that for Infinity to build off of. And it's just such a solid laner as well, no matter what lane you put it in. So Infinity wants to keep their hands open until the end. Unknown team, this is just going to be our RoboZ hero unless he plays Beastmaster mid, which I don't quite see the necessity for that yet. They don't have much reserve time here, though, so they're going to have to pick soon.
All right, they'll go for the Zeus finish up. Another hero we don't get to see very often. Another hero that's received a few nerfs in previous patches. That is going to be a mid-Snapfire by the looks of it. Pippi does pick it up, so the Earth Spirit is going to be position 4, offlane Underlord, which I think is a bit more standard. I am going to get a bit concerned, though, with this mid-Snapfire, I might add, though, John. Generally, you can dominate the mid lane because Scatterblast is so strong and Cookie is also extremely strong. Up against the Zeus, though, I don't think RoboZ is going to care because he could just stand at range and spam Chain Lightning. I'm going to have to say Unknown Team have the better draft.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there, Mike. It's a lot easier to pull off. It's almost the same timings as they were looking for in Game 1, and it should allow them to just run around and try to get that deep push in. Infinity, for their part, I think they've got better frontliners. Their Underlord can certainly build into, say, Guardian Greaves, into a Pipe, which we weren't seeing last game. So they got so much value from the magic damage there for Unknown Team. You need that durability on Infinity's side. They could easily go for it in this case. Big question is whether or not Arms can get that farm he wants on the PA. It's PA against Beastmaster. We saw that last game where Burner was struggling a bit in that lane. So this time it's Arms' turn to play into Beastmaster, and we just got to see how it holds, especially against a Rubik. Like, these are two heroes the PA does not want to lane up against. A lot of hard times finding the farm. You're going to rely on the Stifling Dagger more. The one thing as well for Unknown that should change up, you mentioned a mid matchup. Scatterblast is going to be really hard for the Zeus. You don't want to close in too much, so you have to burn your mana to keep up with farm, and that can be a bit scary. You know, you run out of mana quick in the Zeus until you get your bottle up, and then once the bottle's up, you need to secure those power runes as they come in. But Infinity's got the Earth Spirit in their end, so they can try to roll around, deny the power runes away, and you need that control down mid if you want that Zeus to have a good start.
Well, we'll get into it, John. Game number 2 between Unknown and Infinity. Should be a good one. Very curious to see how this mid-Snapfire works in this current meta and what Pippi does to try and make it work. Was Unknown looking to take this game number 2 and force a 2-0 victory. Infinity obviously looking for a draw. And while we're waiting for this pause, I may as well go over our next series straight after this one. We are actually going to have Infamous up against Penta Ace, aka Sad Boys, but they've changed their name and they've changed their team. They want to be called Penta Ace from now on. So we'll call them Penta Ace, John. Up against Infamous straight after this, which should be a pretty hype matchup because we saw Infamous yesterday doing a really nice job. And today up against Sad Boys, or rather Penta Ace. Well, we saw Penta Ace up against Arkosh yesterday as well, and they completely dominated them. So it looks like that one might be pretty close.
It should be. That should be pretty exciting as well to watch out for. Speaking of names, Mike, you know, the team name Penta Ace, we have gotten some clarification from Shesid, right? Formerly known as Prada, of course. So it's not, we don't need to say SHCCD because I had a hard time saying that. You know, it's like SHCCD, you're like, it's a tongue twistery thing. It's Shesid, so we can say Shesid as he requested.
Thank you for that, John.
Very nice. And I want to point out as well, didn't have a chat about this, but we did have some lobby chatter. RoboZ, right? The guy had a great game, won. His name is from one of my favorite video games from my childhood, a game called Bust a Groove. If anyone knows that game, you'd know who RoboZ is. Yeah, so it's a weird game, that one. It's Japanese from the 90s, so it's a very strange one. It's a dancing fight game, a fighting dancing game. So you hit like the rhythm buttons. You've got powers to slow down your enemy, make him stop, getting his rhythm on, and it's pretty fun. The music in there is fantastic. If you haven't heard any of the Bust a Groove soundtrack, I suggest you listen to it. Maybe try listening to Heat's track from Bust a Groove 1. But it's always nice to see, you know, RoboZ having such a iconic name from that game. And, you know, the moment I mentioned Bust a Groove, our friends at 4D told me, all right, you're in 4D. Mike goes solo. And it almost happened, Mike. You were about to go solo there, you know?
All right. Fair enough. 4D, the other casters currently cast it. What language do they cast in, John?
I believe it's Spanish.
There you go. Shout out to those guys. We've seen Mr. Avo Plus joining them before, right?
Oh, yes. Shout out to him as well. Love that guy.
Yeah, Mr.
Great
Avo
guy.
Plus. Great
Avo
guy.
Plus.
Yeah.
30 seconds and counting.
Fun fact, John, we actually started around the same time, me and Mr. Avo Plus. He was, I
Oh,
think he
yeah.
was a bit before I was, in terms of
Oh,
casting.
yeah. Yeah, it's fun to see how all of us have gone forward, eh? Here we are. Mr. Avo Plus. He's so close by to me as well, right? Kind of.
He's
Like,
in Malaysia.
he's right there in, yeah, Kuala Lumpur. Used to be much closer when I was in Singapore. Never got to meet. Still looking down mid. Pamplona does scout out the ward. Gets twacked by the tower, so he should know where to plant a D ward, or at least get his Zeus to zap that down. So they should know where to go in, and Sexy Yogi is ready with a sentry. Just taking away some of that vision for Unknown early on is always a bit of a boon.
Yeah, every Pos 5's dreams, John. Just usually if you scan out the Sentry Ward in a pub game, what happens is the mid player buys the Sentry Ward and takes that golden XP. But for once, they let the Pos 5 do it. Sometimes you've actually got to race the mid player to get it down before he buys a Sentry. I've had many bad experiences. But top lane, and a bit of a try lane to get things started. Just Sid, gonna be waiting. Sacred is there with Wish. Stroke of Fate is going to come out, and it doesn't even connect. Bit unfortunate there. Now, they may have assumed he's going to TP out, so he might be able to try again. And it looks like they have. They don't believe he's around any longer, but Stroke of Fate is going to connect, and Sacred going to chase down Sexy Yogi, and they do get the kill. Wish going to be able to get the first blood. Nice patience there from our Grimstroke.
Yeah, to get first blood, they reset back to a dual lane, and you're already off to a good start. This compensates for the fact that Sacred did go for the Axis level 1, so he's already gotten what he needs with that level 1 spell. He can get into the level 2 with a Call of the Wild Boar, and that makes it a lot harder for the PA once you have the Axis and the Boars twacking away. Even the CM's not going to enjoy it, so Sexy Yogi's going to have to watch out. And because Sexy Yogi got the D-Ward mid, he TP'd top, which means that he's going to have to walk in, and this is a wave or two where Infinity just doesn't have as much presence here.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, in the mid lane, John, you've... Oh, actually, top lane.
Arms.
Gets caught out, gets taken down. See, Wish, he did commit the lift for that. And Sacred, I mean, he still doesn't have the boars. He went for the Inner Beast level 1, so... Just the axes being very impactful already.
Yeah, and he's out of mana though, so you've got to watch out for Sacred's End. But that was all due to the fact that Sexy Yogi could not get into lane fast enough. So good punishment out from the side of Unknown, figuring out that because the D-Ward happened and the CM showed top immediately, you know, he had to have TP there, and they punished that movement out. Still gives us a chance while we have a breeder to look at mid. It is the Snapfire versus Zeus lane, and so far RoboZ is having a great time. Doesn't look like PP's been able to maximize the Scatter Blast as much as he wants. Of course, the bonus damage range is rather close, so you can sort of harass the Zeus, but not at the fullest extent of the Scatter Blast, and that does mean RoboZ, of course, just plays with Arc Lightning, has Static Field up, so PP's just constantly dropping low regardless of whether or not he does get hit.
Absolutely. Of course, down to the bot lane as well, you've got Pamplona there with Little Boy. You see it around, and you've got Burner on that Wraith King. Seems to be going pretty well for Little Boy, rather Burner, who does get the stun off now with the Ink Swell. Little Boy just can't move out of it. He's going to get crit down here by Burner, and Pamplona, he is not going to be able to trade harassment like that. Not up against the Wraith King. I'm not sure what happened with Little Boy there. It almost looks like he went AFK for a second. Meanwhile, Sexy Yogi up at the top lane is also going to drop Sacred. Able to connect the Wild Axes. Back down towards the bot lane, Pamplona was also dropping low on the Earth Spirit. And looks like he'll be just fine to survive. But every lane already looking pretty positive for the side of Unknown.
Yeah, it's kind of reminiscent of how Game 1 went. They just have these great lanes coming out for Unknown. They're playing aggressively quite well. And this is one thing you can't forget. When you're two melee heroes up against Wraith King plus Grimstroke, the stun follow-ups, the stun combinations that can come true from this dual lane is potent. So you do have to watch yourself if you're Infinity. Like, you do have Underlord, which is tanky, but not tanky enough.
Well, Pippi's going to take a lot of damage here. Wish with a double damage rune is just going to keep hitting away on the Snapfire. RoboZ not really chasing for the snap, just making sure he secures the whole wave by himself. Nice little power rune swipe there from Wish, and he still has the double damage, and in fact he's going to run into Sexy Yogi. Maybe he can actually kill this CM off again if he gets the lift off, but it is on cooldown. Still quite a bit of damage out, and as I look away, Burner down a bot lane does end up dying.
And this is what Infinity needs to even out the lane. You want the Underlord to just sort of dominate. Every single time Shesid's not nearby, you can punish that Raid King. So good kills coming out for Infinity. They do need this rolling start to come out for the Earth Spirit as well. And they do get the pull off on top of that.
This top lane is just such domination here from Unknown, as Pamplona is going to TP in, trying to go onto Wish, but he had some stick charges up. They're going to turn right back around, but now a rollout on Sacred. He's still trying to man-fight this. He gets one. Arms needs to be careful. He is still healthy on the Beastmaster. He'll eventually go down, but Wish is going to keep up the chase, and Arms is going to give his life away for that kill. And now Sexy Yogi's going to TP in. He should be able to get this, but Wish is going to be as annoying as possible with the lift back. Nova does connect, but he has a Fairy Fire. Yogi, looking for a Frostbite, is not going to be able to reach him. Instead, he'll just deny off a creep. And Wish will get so much XP and gold out of that on the Rubik.
That is so much value out for Wish. Level 5 now on the Rubik, pulling ahead of even Sacred. And you mentioned it, the top lane's just such a mess here for the side of Infinity. Not much Arms can really do about this, and is really lagging behind in farm. 22-7 on the PA. Behind Sacred, behind Burner as well by a big amount.
On the bright side, Infinity, they do manage to kill off RoboZ on the Zeus. That was a nice rotation out from Pamplona, who had just respawned, but does get a very important kill for his team. It's going to help out his Snapfire a little bit, who has already queued up the Ags. So Pippi is going straight Ags Rush after the brown boots. Wants to try and make it work that way. I'm still not sure about this. I don't know if the Axe is really that worthwhile anymore.
Not early on. The damage scaling has been severely nerfed, so if you're looking for burst to come out, it's not amazing, but you do have good gobble up targets in the Underlord, so they might just want to play without really good initiation and build off from there.
Oh, Sexy Yogi again being slowed up by these balls, but Pippi is going to rotate in on the Snapfire with an Invis Ruin, and the roll not actually going to land, but they do get the kill. Nice rotation out from Infinity. Trying to get rid of this Beastmaster and give a bit of space over to Arms on the PA. And the one lane we haven't talked about as much anymore is still that bot lane, where Burner has still been freely farming up on the Wraith King, and Little Boy, while he's trying to slow him down, can't really do too much on the Underlorders.
RoboZ,
Again, RoboZ gonna go down. Pamplona and Pippi going quite deep, but they do get the kill.
Yeah, and I love this aggression out from Infinity. They were smoked up after getting that gank up top. RoboZ did not scout out for the ward, so he's just under vision while he was trying to clear that camp, and he gets punished. That should reveal the ward for them, though, and seeing as it's a Zeus, you can get control back in that area quite well. But Infinity are just looking to play fast now. They've got Pamplona just constantly switching between mid and top. They've got some forward wards out, although I believe that ward was spotted out by the opposing ward on Unknown, so they should know something's up.
Lift up, Sexy Yogi in danger, but Pamplona again with the rotation with Wish. It's going to go down. Zeus ulti committed to kill off the CM, but Sacred is still in a lot of danger with those Mortimer's Kisses. But RoboZ now with the rotation in onto Arms. They will lose Sacred, but they do get the PA. Pamplona is going to be able to roll away. But it's still not too bad for Unknown. This PA should not really be dying like this, and every time she does, you can't really call it worth it for Infinity.
No, it's a costly loss to take. It is building up on your snap, so at least you're going to see that timing on the Ag still be pretty on point, and you should be impactful with that, but they need to play around that spike with their Underlord, and for the most part, Little Boy still having that slow start down bot, which is uncharacteristic for an Underlord. You take a look at net worth, Little Boy's lagging behind even Sacred. So he's just not getting enough in this offlane, I feel, to really make this early Ags rush work. Perhaps if he's given some space to farm up the jungle a bit, just with a Firestorm, he can start to bounce back in. But the issues will come out with Burner. He's ready to just go up top, and they're grouped up for that push into Tier 1.
Yeah, the top Tier 1 is looking set to drop. Burner. They move in now with the skeletons, and that tier 1's definitely gone. No trade to occur either, as Chesed going to go onto Pippi now. Inkswell does actually land, and the Roshan trying to get a bash, it looks like, but Thunderbolt is going to come in from RoboZ, and they'll get the kill. Pamplona being slowed up by a dagger that was stolen by Wish, but instead they're going to go onto the Crystal Maiden. They'll commit the Raw, and they'll get the kill onto Sexy Yogi. And it's looking like a similar story to Game 1, if not worse, as you look at Burner's farm, he's going to have a Radiance much faster than we saw last game around.
Yeah, it's the opposite story of when we saw the PA versus Raid King last game. Although Widge,
yeah, probably going to die. They do get a nice Ruby kill for themselves. Arms, at least, is going to have an okay timed Battle Fury as well. He is just over 1k behind the Wraith King, but once the Battle Fury's up, should be able to catch up quite decently.
yeah, and Unknown needs to be able to ward deeply in that jungle, especially in that triangle here from Infinity's end. They can't allow arms to freely build up like this. They should know how much the PA can get done once Battle Fury plus Desolator is up. So some pressure here on Unknown to maintain that aggression, maybe get the mid-tier 1 gone as soon as possible. They're looking to wait around for the Primal Roar to be up, and they are still waiting for that first Necronomicon to fly out here on their Beastmaster.
Smoke up, down towards that bot lane. A big gank up here. But Reincarnation gonna pop. Still rooted up. Little boy wants to keep going. Burner, he is very low, but the help is coming in now from Sacred with the Roar out. They kill off Arms and Little Boy. They are on to that Snapfire. RoboZ picks up the kill. Pamplona trying to roll away, but he is not going to make it. We'll try to fight RoboZ a little bit, but that is going to be a 4-for-0 trade. The only thing that Infinity really got was 1 Reincarnation life, and Burner's going to have that back up in about 2.5 minutes anyway.
And they just don't have enough to deal with 2 lives in the Raid King yet. They're going to have to wait out for the Ags, I suppose, now, since you've already gotten 2 parts in on the Snap. Just wait for that build up there. They will be able to defend the bot tier 1, but it's not a very pertinent objective here for Unknown. They would rather shove in mid. I believe this time has given enough for the Necronomicon to fly in as well here for the Beastmaster, or if not, you're very close to it. So you have to watch that timing, lining up for Unknown. Infinity, they're just facing off what Unknown has. They have to worry about double Roar with Soulbind, double stuns from the Raid King. They've got to worry about the magic damage coming out from the Zeus, and they're just not able to lock in RoboZ. If they don't find the Zeus in the middle of these team fights, the magic damage without a pipe is just going to rip through all of the HP on Infinity's end.
Yeah, I mean, they were doing a decent job earlier on in catching out RoboZ a couple times, but his farm has not suffered that much. Still top of the net worth board on that Zeus and still being very dominant. Spot lane, looks like there was a dive attempt onto Sacred, but Wish is going to be the one to pay for it. Well, not Wish, but Pamplona is going to be the one to pay for it. Speaking of Wish, he's got an Aether Lens already. My goodness, that is a very quick Aether Lens.
Oh yeah, he's very farmed up. I mean, Wish has more net worth than the Underlord. He has way more than Little Boy right now, which is not the situation you want to find the Underlord in. And again, very uncharacteristic of the hero, but it's been a tough lane for Little Boy. He doesn't have space to farm up. All of that farm is going onto PP and onto Arms, so Little Boy has to take that step back, and that means he's not going to be as durable up front as well.
Chesed going to be slowed up here by Sexy Yogi. Stroke of Fate, not actually going to land, but they had the lift, and now with the Ink Swap from Sacred, could be a guaranteed kill once again here for the Beastmaster, as now Mortimer's Kiss is going to come out. But nobody's locked down. Everyone's going to be perfectly fine to just walk out of there scot-free. And now Infinity, they're probably going to lose this mid-tier 1 because they don't have that Snapfire.
They don't have a great way to depush. They could try dragging the Underlord there to drop the Firestorm. They do smoke up, but it's too late. I wonder if they can still find an opportunity. Pamplona looks like he wants to try, but they don't have any angles. And now their top jungle is going to be invaded here by Unknown.
Roll, Wish pretty deep in that mid lane, just all by himself. He's going to get punished for that. Very out of position there for the Rubik. Some Infinity just gonna try and re-invade their own dire jungle. Because of that Rubik death, Unknown are gonna have to leave for a bit. And that's just something you don't want to see, right? Like, you don't want to see easy kills like that going the way of Infinity when you have a lead like this. It's just best to stick as 4 or 5 and make sure everybody's safe.
Man, just a bit of a misstep there from Widge. You have to worry about bleeding kills like that because Arms does have the Battle Fury. So the PA can find these kills, go back farming, although Arms not going to be spotted out. Thankfully did pop the blur in a timely fashion, but they will lose their bounty runes here to the side of Unknown. So a lot more gold out for Unknown. They're not able to drop any forward wards. You still have some room to farm up here on the PA, and now Infinity just needs to play that stall game for the PA to be at that point where Arms can just one-shot a couple of those heroes in the back.
Mid lane. They're looking at Arms, lift, that's a massive range lift, into the roar out from Sacred, and RoboZ with the boots of travel just blows him up, onto the CM, Sexy Yogi, can't get out of this. And this is just such a disaster. I mean, Wish has such an early Aether Lens with max lift. You saw the range at which he can lift somebody off at, and how are you meant to fight against that as the PA? You just get caught out without knowing it and you're gone.
Yeah, there's not much you can do as the PA, and she's trying to find farm in the best spots possible. Mid looks safe, but you just can't afford to drop a big hero like that. They just need Arms to sit back, farm the jungle, and maybe not show in lanes right now. PP does have the Ags flying in, so you do have the gobble up here. The issue is, who do you really gobble up? They could try tossing the Underlord, which probably is their best bet. But again, this Underlord does not have much farm, so he's not going to be very tanky up in the front lines.
No, he's not. Burner going to move into that tier 2 tower now. Not going to pop the skeletons quite yet. Going to go farm up some more. Doesn't even need it actually, but there they are. Little boy, he did get the tier 1 bottom tower, but that's not going to be an even trade. It's just kind of catching up to what they left behind earlier. Now with that tier 2 top going down, they've lost more map control. Unknown basically has their whole jungle to themselves, and with Infinity, they're going to have to invade the Radiant jungle, but it's certainly not going to be a very safe kind of journey for them.
No, definitely not. They lose their outpost here as well. Since they don't have a tier 2 taken out from Infinity's end, they cannot go for that outpost trade just yet. They're still looking for the angle with the gobble up play. It looks like PP wants to toss in Pamplona in these fights, so we'll see if that pays off when the fights do break out. But for now, they still don't find the angles, and Berna is pretty big with his Radiance up.
Yeah, it's looking... Oh, there's the lift again. They have got the Snapfire. He tries to cookie away, but the Soulbind was there to hold them back, and now it's just going to be so easy for Unknown. Skeleton's up again as well, so that tower is not going to be safe, and Burner now going for even more. Little boy trying to whip himself into shape, but he might just be dead as he gets lifted up again by Wish. That range is just massive.
It's ridiculous just how far Wish can cast his spells. Even a stolen Frostbite is causing so many issues for the side of Infinity. Like, you can cast it from a mile away and get that control off. They're still not done. They're trying to circle around here in the bot jungle.
Oh, Arms is going to run into RoboZ. Frostbite is there, however, with the Fade Bolt. RoboZ is still dropping low. Here comes Burner. Arms, he's going to get Zeus at least, but it's probably going to cost him his life. The Sacred is going to keep tabs on him, and now they'll just turn back around. The Necro unit actually dying in the freezing field is what killed the CM, but now a pretty darn good gobble up. They'll get 2 for their trouble, but Burner's not done. He wants to go in with this reincarnation life. He's going to lose 1. He may have gone a bit too far. He's going to keep trying now with the Inkswell. He's trying to run away, but it looks like he has to try and fight. Pit of Malice is there. Burner now decides he's going to start hitting people, but he is actually not dead yet. He got kicked out of the Pit of Malice. Essence Shift there as well. The kick saved him.
No, Pamplona. That was lined up for the Scatter Blast, Mike. That would have been it. but
It's
yeah, you can see that.
it's still a great
PP
team
just gobbles
fight.
up.
They still got 4, and they did kill the Wraith King's first life, so it's not all bad news, but you would have loved the full team wipe if you could have gotten it.
Yeah, and the issue there for Infinity is like they found the kills, but the PA wasn't around for that. So you're still a bit behind here on arms. You have caught up just a tad bit with PP and Little Boy. Now Little Boy is ahead of that Rubik, and they do have a pipe up. So Infinity aren't going to be ripped apart by the Zeus. The Unknown should be a bit cautious about going too far now, as the durability is going to be harder to deal with. But the Roche is up, and when you've got Beastmaster and Wraith King, Roche can melt quite fast. They've got a good ward watching the ramp. So Infinity's not going to be able to just walk up there scotch-free. They're going to have to maybe go for a gobble of play into Kisses, but the Kisses are still on cooldown.
Roshan, going to be very easy. No contest here from Infinity. Going to be an Aegis now to Burner. They're going to just re-invade the Dire Triangle. I mean, there's just nothing to stop them. They've got the Soulbind, they've got the Roar. They don't even need the double Roar. They'll just commit it straight onto that Snapfire. Make sure you take down that core Pippi, and he's been lifted up. He's going to go down to the Scatter Blast of Wish. They want to find a bit more. They found Sexy Yogi. He's gone. John, fun fact by the way, Rubik, I don't believe has his cast talent yet. So at 15, he's going to get even more cast range. And I was meant to bring this up before, but he is not at max range yet.
Yeah, that is ridiculous here. And Wish is just so disruptive. He even has a keen optic, of course, just for that little added attack range. So it's always just a nuisance to fight into. That mid tier 3 not lasting for too long. They did manage to get some good damage off on the Wraith King and Beast. So they are forced to retreat just a bit. And you are seeing the effect of the Underlord. Makes it hard to siege high ground. So they are holding on to some key objectives for now, as Unknown have to dip out. Keep the farm up. They are close to this BKB for Burna. And once the BKB's up, the control they had last time around on the Wraith King is not going to be there. So you need to watch that timing. Burna's inching closer to it, although they TP in.
And Pippi has Gobble up. He's going to use it. Spits him out. Doesn't land. And now the Roar is back up from Sacred. Pippi just can't survive once he's stunned up like that. They might find Sacred as a trade, but it's not going to be worth it at all. Need a bit more than that. Oh, they lost Sexy Yogi as well. Robo
Witch
Z
has Gobble Up.
Oh no.
That is not the spell you want to give away. There are better heroes to toss in here from Unknown. You toss the Zeus in, keep them stunned in with the Lightning Bolt, and the DOT is going to be pretty darn nice for that kind of follow-up. So a bit unfortunate.
Probably going to choose the Wraith King or Beastmaster, John.
Oh yeah,
I don't
just
know about
that one time. That one time it was Robo-Z, and hey, you know, it worked out. It was a squish for your target, of course, but still a good time for Wish, and he does have the 15 talent, Mike. Look at that range.
Here we go.
Look at this.
They just need to see him first. The blur is there from Arms. Robo-Z will break it very soon. And Wish, well, he won't need the range now. He gets the Gobble Up, in fact, to save Robo-Z and get the kill. Oh, they are making this look so easy. Unknown looking very strong in this matchup. Burner now just going to walk straight up to the high ground on the Wraith King. They'll hold it a little bit. The Hit of Malice is going to be there, but it's only going to delay things. Let's Gobble Up on a creep. Let's clear out the creep wave. But they control the map. They control everything. They're getting all the farm. Like, the only one outside of the base right now is Pamplona, and it's not like you really need that much farm on the Earth Spirit. Things are just set to get even tougher for Gillette Infinity.
Yeah, it's a tricky time. Their high ground defense is really good though, and Unknown. They're sitting on an Aegis. They've got level 3 reincarnation because they gave the tome out to the side of Burna. So he should be able to just stand there, maybe get 2 reincarnations off in the middle of a fight with that Aegis. So gotta watch out, as this is about the time where Unknown is going to be eyeing that high ground They could go for this last outer tower first, which Sacred is doing. So just going to go for the safe objectives, get some build up. They've got the Ags up in Robo-Z, so now you've got the Nimbus to worry about as well. They are running out in the Gobble Up.
Uh-oh. Sexy Yogi. He's gone. Jesset's gonna find him with a stroke of fate. Up to the high ground they go. Top lane this time. Lift is there. Wish catches him into the Nimbus, and that is going to be a death Snapfire. Surely he's trying to survive, but he cannot. There's just too much damage up from this Wraith King. And you've got to kill this Wraith King 3 times, by the way, as the Roar comes out now. Onto the Earth Spirit. That'll be another. Arms going to try and jump in. Does get one. That'll be Robo-Z down. Burner, the BKB up, gonna kill Sexy Yogi. Arms trying to survive. The Gobble Up in is not really gonna land thanks to that BKB, but they got Arms anyway. And now Pamplona, he's rolled in with the Magnetize, but it looks to be way too late as he is gonna die another time. On the bright side, they got the Aegis. They also found Wish on the Rubik, but they're probably gonna lose at least their mid-racks.
Oh yeah, it's a tricky time. At least the respawn and snap is fairly soon now, so they can maybe get some spit out, punish this overextension from the lower heroes. Gobble Up is there.
Little boy, it's a lot of damage out with the Mortimer's Kisses, but the Glimmer Cape is going to be on to Burner. He's going to move right back in after the Mortimer's Kisses as well. Little boy stuck around a bit too long, and Burner is going to try and punish him, but they'll turn back around now with the cookie out. Still has Reincarnation. Doesn't seem to want to waste it. Or maybe he does. Robo-Z has respawned on the Zeus. It's going to make it much harder to try and jump onto Burner. He will just walk out now after mid-racks does go down.
And they just can't deal with the multiple lives in that Wraith King. They did manage to take the Aegis, but that was on the edge for Burner. I believe he had literally 1 to 3 seconds left on the Aegis when it did pop. So very fortunate for them on the side of Unknown. Infinity now 1 racks down. Gonna have to play defensively very well. They do have a BKB up on Arms. He's got it for 9 seconds now as he popped it in the last fight. Still trying to build up into the desert. They need that to pierce through and get some good damage off. They are smoked up though, trying to find something.
They are. Smoke. It's very hard to get to that high ground without breaking the smoke. They can use the Gobble Up from Pippi, but that's almost like sacrificing somebody before the team fight even starts.
Very good scan though.
Gonna be snuck up on, but they got the illusion. Oh, they didn't find the real one, and Robo-Z's gonna jump right onto Pippi and kill off the Snapfire. That's not great. Roar out now from Sacred onto the Underlord, getting Little Boy, and they even got the lift off onto Arms. Arms gonna try and run, but he just can't. No buyback on either. They did have one on Pippi, and he does commit. But it's gonna be a very challenging defense with just a Snapfire. In fact, Burner would have loved to get that stun off right now to Pippi, but he does barely get out. Wish, however, is going to keep chasing, and Infinity trapped right next to each other. Lift up, Gobble Up, not going to come out in time, and Pippi is going to die back on the Snapfire. Pamplona trying to fight, but Pippi's already called the GG. They can't defend this any longer, and Unknown are going to be able to take a 2-0 victory to get us started for the day.
Yeah, that's an absolutely great performance out from Unknown. Infinity, they clean up their draft, they swapped cores with Unknown, going for the PA up against the Wraith King, but they couldn't hit those timings. The Snapfire mid, I mean, it held its own in the laning, but I don't know about it just rushing the Ags. It just felt like it lacked impact with the Agnums build-up, and by the time it was up, they couldn't quite, maximize it in the way they wanted to. The Rubik here from Widge just doing so much work. Just a lot of control coming out there, and a lot that it did do in the middle of those fights as well. So rather unfortunate for Infinity, but Unknown, they were sort of the favorites coming in, and they show up in this game.
Yeah, I mean, with that, we are going to have to move on to our next series. There might be a slight delay, as it looks like the coordinator did go down for a bit, so hopefully it's just back up. But we are going to be roughly 10 minutes before the next series does begin. It's MLP Dota and John xfire, and we'll see you all again very, very soon for our second series of the day.